The end of Q3 has happened. The big sales push is over. Well, mostly a few stragglers might be coming in over the coming week or weeks, but what we don't know is what does that mean for Q4? Are we in trouble? Well, maybe not me personally, but with my partner in crime, Herbert, we will find out if we're going to at least get a fair trial. Q4, what does it all mean? Let's have a chat about it. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Asa. So Herbert, as you know, EV sales surged at the end of the quarter. But before I mention that, I guess I could mention that, you can subscribe. It is free. It is helpful to the algorithm. It helps people find it. There was a big algorithm change in August that's been kind of brutal for some channels, mine included. Every bit helps. Thank you guys so much. Hey, EV sales surge in the U.S. ahead of September 30th tax credit deadline. Give us a quick overview on what happened that made last month so interesting.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, Q3. The expiring $7,500 tax credits made everybody want to buy one right now. In fact, I did as well. So, you want to take advantage of it. And so and then what did they do last night? Just the day before it ended, they shut down Tesla's Gigafactory, and they told all employees, your number one job right now is to help with deliveries, bring these cars to customers as much as possible. This is what they normally do every quarter, but I think this particular quarter was through the roof. They, in fact, hired new people as well for doing that. So it's looking like that could happen. And then when they changed the rules, I think in September, they announced, the government announced that there's a rule change where not only do you have to, they initially said you have to have delivery before September 30th. Now they said, actually, as long as you put a down payment of a deposit, then as long as you put some small deposit down payment, you can be delivered later. And so that's what they did. And so people just fantastic. And so a lot of this will actually, fall over to Q4 as well, into their deliveries. And then the other thing they did last night on the night of the September 30th, was they launched the Model Y Performance. So that is going to be a big deal. Again, so many people probably signed up. We'll find out how the actual numbers are to take advantage of this expiring $7,500 credit. And then that will show up in big numbers. So fantastic quarter, I think.
The past couple of weeks, even the past several days, EV sales just exploded, says Matt Jones, Senior Director of Industry Relations at the auto marketplace TrueCar. It's been bonkers. Mm-hmm. That is a technical term. I'm not sure I have the qualifications to decode that. But yes, surveys shown that many Americans were not even aware that the credits existed. Some dealers and car makers have been trying to raise awareness with ads focusing on the new deadline. There was a countdown clock on Tesla, for example. Cox Automotive forecasts that EV sales in the third quarter are up 21% over the same period last year and 30% from the spring. So these are big numbers. So that's, by the time this comes out, this is being shot on Monday. This will come out Tuesday morning. We'll already know what the numbers are, at least for Tesla. Other manufacturers report at different times. The EV tax credit is done. Now what? Today, somewhere in America, this is on the 30th, a car buyer will receive the last $7,500 electric vehicle discount from Uncle Sam. Well, sort of. I mean, the paperwork will be in for the last one as of the 30th. While Washington sweats an imminent government shutdown, which has now happened, the EV tax credit faces its demise. Now the auto industry and car buying public will learn what a subsidy-free market for EVs looks like, because, subsidies exist for other things. Washington started offering some kind of tax break for plug-in vehicles during George W. Bush era. Will automakers build EVs if the government doesn't encourage them? Will Americans buy them? So what are you thinking happens now?
Yeah, that question, right? Will automakers still build EVs, and will Americans buy them? Well, I don't know if the Americans are aware that every other country around the world are buying them. Consumers have chosen electric vehicles as the future vehicle. There's no doubt at this point that EVs have taken over. They're better than gas cars in every single way. And there's no stopping it. It's just in America, right? The percentage of people buying electric vehicles is at 9% here, but everywhere else it's already at 50%, 30, 40%. So it's on its way there everywhere else. So it will show up here. There's no doubt about that. I'm not but the question of would automakers here in the US stop making them? They've been announcing that they've been delaying it, but I think that at this point it's to their demise. Do American consumers, are they even aware of how much better EVs are? I think we're at that bubble, right? That's why it's only 9%. But the prices have become, in parity now. With the loss of the $7,500 credit, it's going to make it a little bit harder for EVs to be sold. But with the advent of future full self-driving, that is the next leap forward. And I think that at that point, it's over.
That will change everything. I don't care what the horse market is doing if it's 1905. It's not as relevant to me. Let's jump back over here. There are still chargers being built with the federal money. Meanwhile, federal government is still funding EV charging stations. At least 30 states will soon benefit from Biden-era's $5 billion National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program after Trump administration acquiesced to a legal challenge and lifted its funding freeze. There was a bit of misinformation on that, saying they spent billions of dollars and only built a couple hundred chargers or something like that. This is a terrible use of money. Even Tesla, if they'd have just used Tesla, they'd have built more. Well, Tesla was included in the money. All of it wasn't spent. Only a small portion of it had even been allocated, and that hadn't been spent. It takes time to build them. You've got all kinds of permits to deal with. There was a lot of misinformation surrounding it. But the good news is we still have the battery production credit and the help getting chargers built out in the world at large. So those are big deals, I would say. What we're looking at here, Jim Farley points out, sticker shock. Was it Jim Farley that pointed that out? Anyway, the car makers will have no help in overcoming their biggest challenge, the yawning gap between the sticker price of EVs and conventional autos. Average unsubsidized price of an EV in July was $57 versus $9,000 less for a gas-powered counterpart. To that, I would argue, yeah, but there are no ultra cheap EVs.
Right, like you find in China, right? I mean, it's unbelievable that the average price of a car today, all cars, any car in the U.S. is $50,000. So if you take the 57 minus the 9,000, we're talking 48,000. That is already out of reach for everyone, most people, right? The average person. And then now the EVs is going to go up to 57. So it is a real hit because price obviously is the number one issue. But Tesla's about to launch a more affordable vehicle. If it's around 45, if it's, I think for most of us, we think that it'll absorb the 7,500 really, the increase in the prices. And so it'll still be very competitive for Tesla. Now, I don't know what happens to anyone else. I just can't understand how any other car company in the US is going to survive this.
What I would point out is that this 57,000 average for EVs is higher than the price of the Model 3 or the Model Y, which means we're adding in all those Hummers, all those Lucids, all those Rivians that are much higher and not really getting, we're getting
it's
the
Ford F-150s, right? The trucks, because most of them are sold are trucks in the U.S., right?
Well, on electric? No.
Yeah.
Well, on electric, I mean, if 57 is the average price for electric, it's you're factoring in, your Escalades and your F-150s and your Silverados into that figure. I think this number appears artificially high. It doesn't matter if it's artificial or not. That's what buyers have in their head, which means it has some merit to it. 5 reasons Tesla could thrive as the EV tax credit disappears, courtesy of Tesla Roddy. So let's see here. No tax credit means price cuts.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
There's ability, there's leverage there that Tesla can do to eat up at least half of that loss. I don't think all of it, but they'll just eat up the lower margins. Yeah.
Not an unreasonable conclusion, I suppose. The playing field becomes fairer. Companies like Ford and GM have reaped the benefits of the tax credit, but their situation's much different than Tesla's. Ford and GM are not profitable on their EV projects, so the EV tax credit has been relied upon to mask high production costs and dealer markups, which have widely impacted their demand. Ford is among the more popular brands that have dipped their toes into the EV market, but they've been forced to adjust their strategy on several occasions due to a lack of profit, where Tesla vehicles have been profitable for some time, they say, putting it mildly, and the company's been able to make money from its offerings faster. Cybertruck was profitable after just 1 year of production. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's a small gain because in the U.S., my understanding is that Tesla sells 10 times more than everyone else, right? So, yes, there will be some, because these guys are not going to sell as much, but it's going to be less. It's going to be a small gain for Tesla because now the only offering that's going to be reasonable is a Tesla versus these other guy offering, but they're already such small numbers. I just don't think that it's going to be a big jump for Tesla because of that. But it, absorbs a little bit of a potential loss.
Tesla's maturity shows, and investor confidence will boost. While once dismissed as a subsidy dependent startup, the narrative died years ago as it continued to perform well against competitors even after losing the first round of EV subsidies. It will only help Tesla, said Elon, and I think that might be a little bit out of
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
Using things like
Yeah.
manufacturing efficiencies and vertical integration, Tesla's been less dependent than others.
I don't know if that's a reason that Tesla will succeed because of this reason. No, it's just that, yeah, that's always been the case. But prices are gone up. There will be a hit, no doubt about it.
A little bit of discomfort there. Subsidies can sometimes inhibit true innovation.
No, I don't know.
I don't know about that. So, well, I guess what you're saying is that if we're trying to stay under 55,000 or 80,000, that we might leave something out that would just barely bump it over. I'm not as convinced on this one. And affordable models will be even
Yes,
more sought after.
absolutely.
I think you should have led with that one.
Exactly.
So
In
let's,
terms of
yeah,
subsidies too, though, this is the thing that I think you alluded to a little bit in your intro is that it's like gas cars, oil industry is tremendously subsidized. And so Elon was out there telling the government, you don't need to subsidize electric vehicles. Don't do that. I don't think you should. But you should also not subsidize the gas cars.
okay,
And
no
so
EV
that is
subsidies. You got it.
yeah, that's how they responded. I know.
It is.
And they let the subsidies for the gas cars still exist. So it's a harder playing field, but not unlike what's happening in China, right? In China, they did the opposite. They penalized gas cars. They rewarded you to trade in your gas cars, and then they incentivized the electric vehicles. And you and I have talked about this so long that the government in the United States is so short-sighted if they think that it's about gas cars versus electric vehicles. That's not what this is about. It's about smart cars versus dumb cars. And if China and other car makers across outside of the US are subsidized, those automakers are getting a leg up over the US ones, and they're ahead in smart cars, which heads you to autonomy, which heads you into AI, and it helps you with, maximizing your battery production. All of these things are important for the future, and here you are. So doesn't I think that that's the reason why I'm in favor of subsidizing electric vehicles, not because we want more EVs to be sold. No, it's about you want to compete globally.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the fifth bullet point here, more affordable models. We do have the performance coming out already. We may see we may see another one or two trims of the Model Y. What are those going to do in terms of helping keep sales strong?
For Q4, you specifically talking about Q4?
Well, no, I just mean after today, moving forward
After today.
past the IRA.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, right. So it's obviously more trims is one of the things that has, you've had the Model 3, Model Y for such a long period of time. Now you're adding a Model Y L, you're adding the premium version, and then now we're going to have the Model Y S, or the smaller version of the Model Y, or a compact version. Anytime you add new segments, that increases it. But the big one is going to be Model Y, the smaller version of the Model Y, the compact car. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's a compact car, but what matters most is the price. If you get under $35,000, the world changes in auto sales because the price elasticity curve, and we've shown this many times on both of our channels, is such that when people go, why aren't people buying the Cybertruck? It's a total failure. Well, yes, but no. Because if you're selling a car for $110,000, there's only a tiny little percentage of people that can afford that. 1%, 2%. Okay. But as soon as you get to the 70,000, you got 5 to 10% of people that can afford it, something like that. But once you get under 35,000, that's a magic number for American consumers. And then it jumps and skyrockets up. Like we're not talking just 5% increase of TAM. You're going to get 10%, 20%. Like it's ridiculous numbers of people can now afford that car. You just shared a number there that the average EV price is $57,000. Average auto price of any car in the US is $57,000, right?
No. EV
So,
is 57.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
NE is about 48.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. You're right. Any is 48.50. So, but still, $48,000.
That's a lot.
It is already out of reach of people. And so, if the more affordable vehicle comes out, and I am of the belief that it's not whether it's a compact car or not a compact car. What I think it has to be is about price. They can take a smaller version of the Model Y, the exact small, not a small version, but a Model Y that's more affordable and still succeed. Now, the argument is that if you make it compact, then you reduce the footprint, you reduce the battery size. That is where the real savings can come in. But if you can take just the regular Model Y, but bring the price to $33,000, or more importantly, I've been saying, and I've been asking questions about what happens if you can reduce the monthly fee, the financing, the lease. If Tesla figures out a way, and Alexander studied this quite a bit, Alexander Mertz studied this whole thing of, what can they do in that space? If they can strike a deal with a bank, they absorb a little bit more. If they can bring the monthly fee down to under $200, $300, it's game over. Like there will be so many more buyers. And so that's the game. I think that yes, a $7,500 will be a hit, but perfect timing. Tesla's about to launch the more affordable vehicles. So if anything, I think it's going to be about what we're expecting now. It's not going to be this falling off the cliff. But if Tesla does their job right, it can actually be a huge jump forward in sales and, everything.
All that.
In the market.
Mike, a question I have for you. This is an opinion question. 35,000 is a well understood barrier. Do you think that number has increased along with inflation, or has inflation eroded it so that the new $40,000 vehicle still needs to be 35 to overcome the psychological block?
I mean, that's why I think that it's shocking to hear that the average price point of all cars today in the US is $50,000.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's everything beyond inflation. It's also, right, interest rates. It's, I don't know. I wish I knew why that number jumped to that price, but that is the average price point now.
Yeah. And I think 35,000 was,
when he
we're
said
in a different
sub
world.
30, when he said sub 25, he said $25,000 car. It's now $35,000 car. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're in a different world. Times have changed.
And I want to remind everybody that what actually Elon said 6 months ago, a year ago, was he said something like, when the sub $30,000 car is released with the incentive. That was with the incentive. He clearly said that. So the expectation should not be that they're going to release a sub $30,000 car. It should be that they're going to release a $35,000 car, something like that.
And I think Slate Auto may find themselves in a pickle without the subsidy. They were really counting on it to cut a substantial percentage of the price out of their vehicle. We'll have to wait and see what happens with those folks. Guys, in the comments, what do we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it. I beg of you. Head over to Brighter. Find out what Herbert's up to. And everybody else, stay tuned. Stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots when we get this all sorted out.